So let us talk about economics, shall we? Now, economics is the study of the movement of items which are involved in transactions, usually referred to as trade. Okay, I'm kidding. We're not going to do that kind of a talk about economics. But in all seriousness, let's talk about one of the reasons why this kind of a thing is simultaneously essential and absolutely horrible.
Hey, did you know Archie and Gaia just went live on Twitch?
Apparently, Archie and Gaia just went live on Twitch. I don't know who the heck that guy is. I'm the Lorerunner, but anyways. So
Hi.
let's
You haven't
talk.
changed your Twitch name.
I, I'm not going to.
Oh,
I don't feel like starting over on that one.
they won't let you change it?
Nope.
Well, they're dumb.
So let's talk about why this kind of thing is necessary. Now, I used the term in the brief question that I was asked, deserve. Do you not think that some of the people who make these really big mods deserve to make money off of their mods, off of the tremendous amount of work and effort that they put into that? Now, my answer was absolutely fundamentally yes. In fact, there are several sites that actually, like, so for example, Curse is a good example. For some of the mods for those games, and I don't know if the Nexus does this, but I know some people on the Nexus do this, where they basically have a that's what I'm here for, right? Where they have a donation button, kind of similar to what I do, actually. And the idea is you're not paying for the mod, you are giving them money because you want to support them. You want to say, you're awesome for doing this. Not that I'm saying you guys do that, but like for the mod, this mod is awesome. Here's some money. Enjoy some money because your mod's awesome. And that's great, and I love that. The problem is we have an unusual situation when it comes to societal norms. It's like this. Let's say I put out a mod that adds a whole Star Trek thing to Skyrim, okay? I'm just making this up completely off the top of my head, all right? So I make a whole Star Trek content mod. It adds the uniforms. They're well textured and well meshed. It looks great. It's high quality. Star Trek fans love it. And now we have a divergent point because I've spent a lot of time and effort on this, and if you guys say, hey, I would like to donate money to me, to you, then that's fine. Then if people come to me and say, we want to donate to you, I could then put up a donation button or whatever like that, and then people can donate and I can make money off of my mod, right? Let's say I say that I want money for my mod. Let's say I want to charge for my mod. The exact same people who are willing to donate just because to support me will suddenly have a different perspective on that because of the societal perspective that goes through that. The concept of
I'm not
the
on the stream.
concept
Hold that.
of it's I don't even know how to explain it. It's
When you
societal
add
norms.
economics into something,
Economics
people
makes
will
everything
have a
worse.
different value for something that is considered free from something that is considered,
Not
charged.
charged, yeah. If I am charging for this amazing mod, the quality of the mod hasn't changed. The fact that I'm going to continue supporting it hasn't changed. The fact that you guys still want this mod hasn't changed, but now I'm charging for it. And so now you're like, screw you.
No, you're not.
Now, here's the problem. There's another problem, yes, on top of this.
Actually, people will tend to say you're charging for it, therefore it is more valuable, therefore more people will buy it. So some of the people are going to say no, but a vast majority of the people who weren't using it because it was free will now be like, oh, well, you have to have this mod in order to play this game.
So here's the other niggle here. I'm not even going to get into copyright law. Copyright law basically does not functionally apply to this situation. Like, if you apply it literally, and that's all I'm going to say about that. So let's not even talk about copyright law. Here's the other niggle. Whenever you have a situation like that, a third party is absolutely mandatory. You cannot give me money without a third party being involved. It's not possible, right? So what often happens, and this has happened before this Valve thing, this is not a new idea. What happens is another person comes in and says, we'll facilitate you giving money. Let's call this imaginary company that I'm making up off the top of my head Patreon. Now, this imaginary company that I just made up completely off the top of my head called Patreon. What?
Me sit.
It wasn't adjusted yet. There we go. So let's say this fictional company called Patreon comes in and says, we will go ahead and facilitate the changeover of money to you. Now, this is not necessarily a fair example because Patreon does a decent split. But they do take a portion of the money because that is how they make their money. They facilitate getting the money from point A to point B. That's the very basic fundamental aspect of how banks started working before usury was a thing, you know. Hello, Dory. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that wrong, but shout-outs. Say hi.
Who's Dory? I don't even see a Dory.
From Berenian.
Hello, girlfriend.
Anyways, the idea here is once that gets involved, now we've made this economic situation even more complicated because they're trying to make money.
Without my glasses on.
No, you don't. Go get your glasses.
Eyes.
You are now making money off of me trying to make money off of your thing, right? Now, whether or not that is valid or ethically safe or not is something I'm not even going to touch. Ethics is a matter of opinion, and I'm not going to get into that. Okay?
Oh, come on.
What? That's my...
opinions. That's why we watch you.
Reaper? Excuse me, sis. Reaper would like to know who the lovely lady is in my lap.
Really, Reaper? Do I look that different?
She does. So, her hair got bigger and more orange. Now...
Wait, what? My hair did not. It got longer.
No, orange.
Yeah, but he said my hair got bigger.
Orange. Whatever. Now I've totally... I was actually going to go into a whole economic theory thing, but it's gone now. Suffice it to say that when we have this type of a situation, it's screwed. It's messed. It's a garbage pile of junk, okay? It is possible for it to work. It is not likely. So that's the first problem. The very first fundamental problem with this situation is the base economics, before we even get into concepts of copyright law, stealing, jackassery.
The copyright law doesn't apply because they're not
Because it can't.
Yeah, because they're making a fundamentally new product. That's like saying, I'm copywriting you for calling a selfie stick, for making a thing called a selfie stick because it attaches to my cell phone, and I have a copyright on that cell phone. This is a fundamentally new product. They can't apply copyright law to it. If anything, copyright law would apply to the new created content because that's a new thing.
Now, here's the funny fact, by the way. My sister is correct and also completely wrong because the copyright law is wrong. And I'm just going to say it like that. Copyright law is outdated and wrong and doesn't actually apply to most modern situations because it hasn't been updated in forever. The only thing we have is court cases, which set new criteria.
Yeah, because they haven't changed the law.
For example, hang on,
they use the court cases as determined by, as determined and interpreted by the courts to interpret the law, which means that even though the law hasn't been updated itself, there are new interpretations of it, just like Roe versus Wade.
Now, Roe versus Wade, you brought that one out. I love you.
Well, it's the one that's the big deal right now because they keep having all of these stupid people trying to say that. They're trying to overthrow it again?
Yeah, I have heard about it.
We're not going to get into
No, we're not getting into that.
Let's leave Roe versus Wade alone.
Let's leave that one alone. That's why I was like, really? Okay, but here's the weird thing about copyright law. Okay, this actually applies to YouTube videos. Some people have asked me, forgive me for a slight segue, some people have asked me, why don't I do gameplay back here when I do these videos?
Because we can't. Because current interpretation of the law says that playing the footage of a game which is copyrighted in the background of your video thus makes your video copyrighted because you are using materials that they have made. Now, there are some segues into that. There was a big case here recently about a YouTube video that was using music, I think it was, more than likely, because that's where all the big YouTube court cases come from right now. They were using music for an educational video, for educational purposes, under the correct, like they did everything to the nines. They had it cited, this is where it came from, this is who it's copyrighted to, this is who created it, they used it under the proper time, the proper jurisdiction, the guy was a licensed teacher, the video was not public, it was for his students viewing only, they had to log in with a password to a specific third-party site that was an educational site, and that's the only way you could view this video, but the guy got sued because they said it was an infringement of copyright because he used this music. And they were full of shit.
PG-13 warning. Now I'm going to use this CD here because it's the nearest thing that's available. I'm going to use a CD to demonstrate, to represent the music license industry in general. And
That
that's
actually hit the trash can.
yeah. Give me a high five. I deserve it for that one. Now, screw the license industry. Seriously, screw them right to hell.
I don't agree with that though, because there is a place for that. The licensing industry
Hang on, let's
exists
not get into a
and
second.
was created
Let's
in
not get into a
the no,
second.
because we're talking about copyright law, and you said copyright law has no place in the modern world, and it does.
That's not what I said. Don't
Yes,
misinterpret.
you did.
I said it
Those
was
were your
improperly
exact
applied.
words.
They're using it wrong. I said it was wrong.
You said that copyright law did not apply because it had not been updated and does not apply in most cases in the modern world, and I believe those were your exact words.
Let me get back to my example.
Anyway, what I was saying is that copyright law and licensing applications do have an impact on the modern world. They do have a place in the modern world because otherwise anybody could just take it and do whatever the hell they wanted with it, and that's not right.
I want someone to look up the game Planetary Annihilation really quick. Could you do that for me? Now, while you're doing that, I want you to look up the game Total Annihilation.
I'm guessing they're probably the same thing.
Made by the same developers, made by the same people under the same circumstances, but Total Annihilation is copyrighted by a publisher. So in order to continue doing the sequel they wanted to do... Now, this is actually a bit of a step, because there was actually the Supreme Commander series in between that. But,
And I remember this case. You were telling about it. There was a whole lot of legal juxtaposed crap in the middle of it.
yeah, there was.
And so this one doesn't really apply to your specific instance because the law got involved in it and they messed with stuff.
Anytime the law gets involved. No, I'm kidding.
I like how I have this green outline around my hair. Do you see it?
Yes, I do. Now,
And
no,
my
I don't,
shirt.
Preacher. It's gone. My point's gone. My sister has destroyed my thoughts. No, I remember it. Video. Okay, there's something, and I've forgotten the phrase. Thank you, sis. But there's a phrase which is effectively tolerated copyright infringement. I don't know if that's the legal term for it, but there is an actual legal term for this. It's when you are violating my copyright, but I don't care. I will not choose to pursue it because I feel like it has no possible application that is going to affect me or my business, right? This is how YouTube has functioned for many years. There have been cases where people will go to court and they say, and the company holding the copyright says, no, we don't give a damn. And the case is dropped because, if you're paying attention, the company didn't bring it up. The company didn't sue them. Now, there have been cases of companies suing. That's a different topic. What I'm trying to say... YouTube is now at this point, because they've been bought out by Google, Yeah.
they're now trying to cover their legal butts, which means that they're going out and they've developed what's it called? The program. It starts with an A.
I don't know.
Analog, no. Acronym? No.
I don't know.
It's that formula thing that does stuff and finds stuff.
Thingy. I don't know.
Zan broke. Zan can't find word. What's the word, people?
I don't know.
You know this word. I know you know this word. It's the thing that they
Algorithm.
use to...
Algorithm.
Thank you. They've
Venters.
created an...
Say thank Venters.
Thank you, Venters. So they've created an algorithm that goes through and that finds this stuff.
And also is proven to not work.
And, well, no, it works.
It's proven to not be 100% effective. Is that better?
Yes.
And it's proven to have nearly shut down certain YouTubers because of mistakes.
Yes.
It's something I actually have lived in fear of for a while, which is one of the reasons why I show so less anything in my videos nowadays. I make it a point not to show stuff in my videos and to play only my own remixed music in videos because... Continue.
I don't remember.
All right, back to my point. So, what? I have yet to finish my first point.
It's because your first point has flaws.
My first
You
point...
invited me to this conversation.
I haven't even asked the point yet that I was going to get your opinion on. We're talking about copyright law. Let's stop talking about copyright laws. Screw copyright laws. This conversation has actually made my point. Believe it or not. Really, it has. Because copyright laws are a mess. And what this has done, this whole Valve thing, by allowing these mods to be purchasable, and it has invited copyright law to be a part of the modding community, which it never has before. Okay, that's a lie, but like 98% of the time it hasn't been involved. And that now leads to a mess, just like my sister and I just had in a conversation, because that's what copyright law is, a mess.
I don't think that applies because this is new content.
Trust me, it does. It's already applied, actually. It has already happened. People are already having issues. Which brings me to my third point, by the way. I'm going to package all these mods together in order to create a new mod. Now, I'm saying this wrong. Let me use my terms a little more clearly. You have created new animations for models. I'm going to use a specific example. You guys know the one I'm going
And
to
I'm
use.
going to borrow your
Animations to make my mod. For fishing, this is the mod specifically. This has actually been an issue. People have actually come after each other for the freaking fishing mod. Because one guy made animations, the other guy made the fishing mod. The fishing mod's the one that's on there for purchasable money. And then there's the theft problem. That has been happening too. I take your mod, literally, and put it up there. Because the problem here is if you're going to allow anything to have money be involved, this is the same thing that happened with Diablo 3 when it came out. When money is involved, you need a very tight quality control system, or else it will just skyrocket out of control. The bad eggs will ruin it for the rest of the people. This is true about all factors of all human civilization. And that is exactly what we're seeing happen already! This happened, what, 2 days ago? A day ago? When did this actually go live?
That's my shirt.
It's just weird.
It's got elastic in it.
Oh, okay.
It's intended to be bunchy around the waist. Otherwise, it would literally be a bag all the way down.
Ooh. Stop hitting your brother.
Stop making fun of my shirt.
I'm not making fun of it. It's a nice shirt. So, now Pax over here. Well, I already mentioned that. So, oh yeah, that's right. And then there's the 75% factor. This I actually kind of already mentioned this.
Oh, the percentage they're taking, a 25%
yeah,
cut.
Valve is taking 75%.
Oh.
The modders get 25%. And as Pencil points out, I know chat isn't up for the people who are going to be watching this on YouTube. Pencil Manners points up a point that I was going to segue into. Valve does not do quality control very well. The green light problem, the early access, and the literal fraud, outright criminal fraud that's been happening over there, Valve has not been policing their own very well. At all. And yeah, Taitu is also correct on another point. They are already people who are pushing out what are effectively early access mods, incomplete mods, which you buy. Let's also point out another thing. There's a term for this in psychology, and I don't remember what it is, but basically the idea here is I have started working on something. I'm going to sell it. This is actually the same problem that exists with early access in general. I'm going to sell it. You buy it with the intention of supporting me in order to complete it because I need the money now.
Minecraft did that.
Yeah, Minecraft did that. Plenty of games have done this successfully. It's also one of the bases behind Kickstarter. However, certain bad people, and I'm just going to say it that way,
will halfway start a mob, let you buy it, and never intend
and then they're
to
done.
finish.
They've already made their money. There's no contract here. They are not obligated by legal requirements to finish this. Now, there have been a few court cases about this, especially on Kickstarter. But the point is, this applies to the modding, this content of mods in the exact same way that it applied to early access, in the exact same way that it applies to Kickstarter. Now, let's go ahead and talk about solutions. There's a huge post up right now. Or not, what do they call that? You know, sign a
Forum?
no,
Petition?
no. Petition, thank you. Sign a petition thing for take the system down. Huge petition for that. Yeah, double fine. We're not going to talk about that. The petition is you take it down, and taking it down is certainly an option. But, what?
Relax your leg. You're shaking.
I have to do that to relax it.
There.
I've lost my train of thought. The petition to take it down. Now, taking it down is certainly an option, but as I've said more than once, yeah, that's the petition right there that Deutsch just linked. I don't think this is necessarily a bad idea on the base of it. I really don't. As I said before, let's say I made a great Star Trek mod for Skyrim, and you want to support me for this. No, Wexley. I don't know what you're... So, you want to support me for it. Here's $5, and I say thank you. I don't see any problem with that.
That's a donation system.
But that's a donation system, not a charge system. So, and this is the main reason I wanted to ask you here, my dear sister, how would you fix this without resorting to a donation
Honestly,
system?
I don't think the original system was broken. You know, the people that started making these. So, regardless of my devil's advocate that I was playing earlier, because I do believe that there were some fundamental issues with the arguments that he was presenting. Because copyright does have a place, licensing does have a place, charging people money does have a place. All of these things have a place in our modern society. And our modern society, quite frankly, wouldn't function without them. speaking from a writer's perspective, if someone went out and blatantly stole my work, I would be rather unhappy with that. I post my work on YouTube. I post my work on a blog. I have another third-party site called allpoetry.com I post my work on. You know, if someone were to just arbitrarily go out and steal my work, you know, I'd be upset by that. And I spent a very long time deciding if I was actually going to put personal works on the internet whenever I first started doing it, because I didn't want some hobo from Georgia grabbing my poem and turning it into his English teacher as a unique, you know, point of view. That's my work. You know, I spent a lot of emotion and hard work and effort putting that together and placing it up there. And I don't want somebody else taking credit for it, even if it's for something as harmless as cheating on a schoolwork assignment, much less publishing it and earning money off of it.
Could I share something real quick and related to that?
Yes.
When I was actually in history class eons and eons ago, I turned in an essay that I spent a lot of time and effort and work on because history is my favorite subject, right? And the teacher comes up and says, explain this. And she turns in, oh, I still remember her name. April was her name. She shows me April's essay. It's the exact same, word for word, as mine. To this day, I don't know how she got it. To this day, I don't know how she got a copy of mine to copy it. I really don't. But it was word for word, and I look at it and I'm just blanched because I'm like, I don't know. And she's like, well, I, as a teacher, have to take the neutral aspect here, so she tore up both and gave us both Fs. Now that's a minor thing, but that was still incredibly irritating and frustrating that someone just took my work and said, "Oh no, here." I thought she was going to get away with it too. I don't know.
Continuing, there, like I said, there is a place for those. So, you know, I have to play devil's advocate on that one. My hatred for homeless people is confirmed how?
Because there's some hobo in Georgia who's stealing your work.
I used that word because my brother dislikes it whenever I curse. If you'd like, I can use the slightly more colorful
this is
version.
my thing, so I get to dictate that. They don't get to. And the donation button's off, by the way, guys. Don't try it.
In addition, to continue my train of thought, I don't think the original system was broken. The people that went into making these mods originally went into making these mods without the intention of ever making any money off of them. They did not do this to make money off of it. They did it because they loved the game. They wanted to see improvements on it. And so they did it. And in a lot of cases, it was a collaborative group from an notified source. So you have 5, 6 people. You have one person that gets all the credit because they're the one that gets to post the mod. And the rest of the people are just kind of, if you're lucky, have a note in the comments on it that, hey, these people were developers. Sometimes you have situations where you can donate on it. You can donate on a lot of the games that you pick up through, like Curse Client, and you know, the stuff that you pick up on Curse Client can generally be added to varying things for whatever. What are you doing?
Ignore me. I'm not doing anything related to you.
That confused me. Anyway, you know, you can. My point is that the donation system is a viable, already proven way to do this. I agree that there are too many instances where, you know, charging for modification would be, it's too easily taken advantage of, and your player base, who are the ones that you're making money off of, are pretty. I like that.
Emily is in Japan.
Emily, I am jealous. Why didn't you not take me with you?
Why didn't she not take you with her?
Why did you not take me with you? I apparently added an apostrophe NT onto the word that I didn't intend to. Very, very jealous. I want to go see the cherry blossoms in Japan.
She linked a lot of awesome pictures from Japan. Continue.
I kind of finished my point.
Let me add one other little bit of devil's advocate, or whatever you want to call it. There's another concept here that I haven't heard anyone else talk about. Making modding a job. Now, hang on.
I was thinking about that. There's a time and a place for having mods that cost money, and it already exists. Game developers who develop the games, this gets rid of the copyright issue. If a game developer develops additional content for their game, let's take Sims for example. Sims 3 has an entire community that's based around modding. It has player created content that you can go in and you can get. It's free. It's built into their website, and they have additional content that you can purchase. Fundamentally, they have created mods that you buy to play in their game. But here's the difference between that and what's going on currently. That's the game creating it. You can take your idea, if you wanted to make money off of it, you could theoretically take your user created content, go to them and say, look, I've made this. I think this is something that's new. I think it's innovative. I think your player base will like it. I want to sell you this. And I bet you could do that. And then you, the person who created the content, as a third party, separate from them, has sold them this. You've made money. Now they're able to take that content and they're able to tweak it so that it fits everything, so that there's no bugs in it, that has support with it now. It will never be, it will never be fundamentally non-functional while being live. And the company still gets to send this out. Now, that means that you're paying an additional price than what you would likely have if you'd bought it from the third party, but with all of the benefits that come with it, the support, the bugginess, the whole 9 yards, that I think is the way to go if you want to charge for a mods. Market it through the game itself, not through a third party, not from an individual.
Now, it's worth noting, not that I want to disagree with my sister. I'm not even sure this is disagreeing with you. But there is another problem. Well, there's actually two problems with that, with the developers themselves doing this kind of thing.
Well, a lot of times the developers themselves don't exist anymore.
So
at that point, you have to go through the licensing person.
But problem one is copyright law. Let's say I want to make a Star Trek mod for Skyrim. The makers of Skyrim cannot do that.
This is true.
I can do that.
But that's why you don't charge for that mod. At that point, you have the two systems in place. You have the official mods that go through the official company that you can charge money for. You couldn't charge money for that Star Trek mod for Skyrim
That's
anyways,
absolutely
because
correct.
that violates copyright laws, because you are fundamentally stealing an idea. But if you're not charging for it, it's not violating copyright laws,
And people could
because you're
still
not making
donate
money.
for that, by the way.
Yes.
And before anyone brings up fair use, don't. Just don't, okay? Trust me.
In this case, if you are making a product to make a profit on, that fundamentally takes an idea from something that has been copyrighted, you cannot charge money for that, because that is a violation and it is not classified as fair use. Fair use does not involve making a profit.
Second, actually, yeah, it does.
No, it doesn't.
Second point.
You cannot use fair use to make a profit.
Second problem is the word DLC. Every gamer out there knows that the word DLC has a negative connotation attached to it. Now, the reason why for that is obvious, because developers have abused it. It's more like publishers have abused it, to be more accurate. But the point remains, people have abused the DLC system, which, and I've made my point on this clear before, I'm actually hugely in favor of the idea of DLCs. But the problem is so many people abuse, I mean, the Mortal Kombat 10 thing that just happened. Would you like to pay $1 every time you do a fatality to not have to put in the buttons to do it?
Some people would.
Some people would. But I think that's disgusting, and a lot of other people do as well. But some people will buy it, which will support it.
You also don't feel that putting in the buttons is that big of a hassle.
That is fairly true. But my point in bringing this up is DLC has been abused. So the mere fact of marketing something as DLC, whether it's good or not, is going to have an automatic negative connotation to it. I pointed this out just the other day with Mario Kart, MK. Mario Kart 8. Mario Kart 8 has DLC. I then had, the moment I said that on my stream, I had to immediately start defending it. Because people were like, damn it, Nintendo, no, DLC. And I'm like, no. It's actually content. It's $5 for new tracks and new carts. That's content, and it's good, too. I played it on stream the other day. It's awesome stuff. I can't wait to make my sister play it. It's good. DLCs are not necessarily a bad thing, but you cannot avoid that negative connotation because, the other 60% of the DLCs are a bad thing, which brings me to point 3.
But that's their right as a developer to charge for crap.
It is,
And it's your right as the player to not purchase it.
which is what I do. But moving on. Point 3. There is absolutely, fundamentally no denying that the fan base will always be more creative than the developers are.
Because the developers are stuck in the box.
Yeah, exactly.
The
And
more
I'm,
minds that you
and
have
it's-
to the more minds that you have to put to something with the less restrictions, the more creative content you're going to achieve.
Exactly.
That's the reason why Sims 3 modding community is better than Sims 3 update packages that you can buy.
And this is why Skyrim, while there have been some good Skyrim paid, made by the developers mods, the fan mods blow them out of the water. And this has been true with Fallout, Oblivion, Morrowind, the city skylines, for God's sakes. Any game that has
You
modding.
need to trim that nail.
Sorry. Yeah, I just trimmed this one, which is why I'm not trimming it. I need at least one. Any modding community, and this Spore is another great example. Any modding community has had a situation where the modders will come up with amazing, incredible, creative stuff. So, yeah. Now,
And a lot of people, Maniac, are going to say that. Like I said, there are two types of people in the world. There are the people that say it's free, therefore it's crap, and I'd rather pay money for something because I think it's going to be worth more because I had to pay for it, which may or may not be true. And then there's the people that say that's crap because you're making me pay for it. I don't care how much better it is in actuality than this thing I can get that's free. I'd rather have this thing that's free because it's free and I don't have to pay for it. And you know what? I fit into both of those categories. I currently am using an app on my phone that is freeware to read manga because it's free. I don't have to pay for it. I get all of the same benefits that I get from the paid version, except for the fact that I have to deal with advertisements periodically. And you know what? That's fine. That's worth it to me. It's the same reason I don't pay for a membership on Crunchyroll. Crunchyroll has a paid membership which gets rid of the advertisements for you. It gives you higher resolution videos, and it gives you content a week earlier. That for me is not worth it. It's not worth my $10 a week whenever I can watch that stuff a week later and not have to pay for it. Likewise, I think that it's crap that Crunchyroll's new manga app requires you to have the membership in order to utilize it at all, because all you can see is the first or the first book of each manga series, if you can even see the whole book. And I think that that's stupid. But that's their prerogative. I don't believe that that's worth that value, and so I'm not paying for it. However, I have Minecraft, the paid app, on my phone because I think that the paid version of Pocket Edition is worth it. I like the additional features that it provides. I'm willing to pay the $10 for it. I paid the 10, actually I think it's like 8 now or whatever. When I bought it, it was 10 because it had just come out. But it's the same thing, when Minecraft first existed. When Minecraft first came out in alpha, because that's when I started playing, was back in the alpha, you could steal a free edition of it. You could get a hacked edition of it and you could use it. And you know what? You still can. It doesn't have the updates. I think it's only got it doesn't have anything since it went live because you can't steal the live version. But my point is, people will pay for what they feel has value. And if something has value, I think you deserve to be able to charge for it. Now, do I think that you should be able to, do I think that having a free version applies all the time? No. That would be ridiculous. But some things deserve to be free and some things deserve to be paid. And I think just because something is costing you money does not mean that it is less valuable or it is less worthy.
let me bring up an interesting perspective on this that's been occurring to me as I'm listening to my sister. Me. I don't actually charge you guys for my show. I don't. There is no subscribe to me button. There's nothing like that. You can donate to me monthly or you can donate to me in a single thing. And I feel like I've always walked the tightrope of that.
Or you cannot donate.
Or you cannot donate.
His stuff's still going to be here. I don't donate to my own brother, despite the fact that most of our family does, because I live with him. And my thought process on that is, if I want to give him $5 to go get gas or whatever he wants to do, I'm just going to hand him $5. I'm not going to go online and donate to him.
But the point I was trying to reach is that I'm always walking, at least I've always felt like this.
Pretty pictures.
I've always felt like I'm walking the tightrope of...
I want to go. I want to go. Take me to to Japan.
I
Take
feel
me to
like
Japan.
I'm walking the tightrope between donation and charge because you can subscribe to me. You can donate $1 a month in
Or
order
more.
to, or more. There's no limit up. There's no upper limit. There's only a bottom limit, and that
There
is
is
a
a
dollar.
shame limit, and if you donate past that shame limit, we will publicly humiliate you because we feel like you're giving us too much money.
That has happened before. I have broken
That got
into tears
that
on
got
the
him beat up on the
stream.
stream one day.
But
Not because of the subscription thing, but because of donations.
but the point I'm trying to reach here is, and I'm going to ask this sincerely. Do you guys think that my content deserves the money? Like my sister was just saying, do you think I deserve to be paid for my content?
Yeah.
Now, while I'm waiting for you to answer that, I will not step over that line and charge for my content because for me,
No, you are charging for some content.
no, I'm actually not anymore. There is no premium content anymore. There's only early access. It's actually what do they call that? Timed
But
exclusive.
you're like
Timed exclusive.
6 months ahead on the early access.
Actually, I'm only well. It's going to get to the point where it's a month ahead. I'm working my
Okay.
way up to that point. It's going to be 1 month ahead eventually. We're working our way. That's why the Rogue Planet stuff has been going live a little bit more quickly, live rather
Yeah,
than
I've
the
been
private
noticing I've been
stuff.
getting more comments on that. Didn't realize that you were posting more videos. I just thought I was getting more comments that YouTube fixed their notification system.
But anyways, the point I'm trying to reach.
By the
is
way,
that
guys,
she's going to interrupt me again.
if you are commenting to on the Primus campaigns, on the Rogue Planet, on one of my things, or anything, if you're commenting to me directly, you actually want a response to that. YouTube has not been he sends me email notifications on any of the content. So if it's something that you want a response from me on in any kind of timely manner, oh wow. 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 Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw it. It's a good picture, Baronessa.
That's amazing. Anyway, if you want a comment on a comment, if you want me to respond to one of your comments on any of the videos where I've done something, please, please, please send that to me with the little pop-up of my name, because that's the only way I'm getting all of those notifications. I'm only getting the first notification on, like, I get like 2 comments per or per video, 2 emails about comments per video, and then YouTube stops sending me comments unless it's somebody that's responding to me or linking me directly in a comment. So please link me directly in comments if you're responding to me in any way, shape, form, or fashion. That way I know that it's there and I can respond without having to go through every 3 months, which is what I've been doing, and looking at every single video that I have anything that's applicable to.
Yeah, no, it's only 2 a week.
It's
Actually,
more than that.
No, you're right. It's less than that, actually.
It's more than that.
No, it's the Primus and
Primus,
thing, and
Rogue
that's it.
Planet,
That's it.
and my cooking videos.
Oh, the cooking videos. That's right. Which, speaking of which, I'm stuck.
I
on
know
those.
you're stuck at it. I have to make the things. I'm gonna make the things. You got to give me time.
Now, first of all, thank you for everyone who said you do think I am worth the money. That actually makes me feel pretty awesome. But the point I'm trying to make is, I personally, and this is admittedly partially my own ethics, which I said I wouldn't talk about, getting involved
That
here.
looks photoshopped, Baronessa
That wasn't Baronessa. That was Chatter.
or Chatter.
I don't want to step over that line to say $10 a month in order to support me. I talked about this recently. Anyone who watched Jim Sterling, he actually went public on Patreon recently because The Escapist fired his ass because The Escapist is dumb. By the way, I'll be talking about that later tonight. Screw The Escapist. That's the summary.
I need to go get dinner.
I know. Let me finish. And then this is my last point I got.
Okay.
Screw The Escapist. But Jim Sterling went private. He went onto Patreon just like I have. He went onto YouTube. He's making like 10 times the money I am. Because
He had a bigger name.
he had a
before he got
huge
started.
name. So yeah, that's not, I mean, that's jealousy, but it's well deserved. He made a video saying, I will never put premium content in. I will never put donate to get this special bonus. I will never say you have to donate or I won't do this, because I want you to give me money because you want to. And I am totally with that philosophy. I am totally in that mindset. You guys supporting me allows me to do this. I do this so you guys keep supporting me. It's a loop. It's a social contract. There is no thing on pen and paper saying, and you must pay $3.99 a month in order to subscribe to this, and did you accept this? Yes, here's your credit card info, blah, blah. None of that crap. And I feel like that's the tightrope, but that only works, and this is my final point, that only works with an individual. Which is why that kind of a thing, I've heard this solution talked about. This is why that kind of solution doesn't actually work with this modding situation with Valve. You can't do that with a company. You can't do that with a modding community that's so large, it probably is in the 7 or 8 digit range, for God's sakes. It's huge. Or no, 6 or 7, excuse me, 6 or 7 digit. Wrong digits.
You can, it's just a lot more complicated because the individuals, Valve would have to implement a the only way that would work would be for Valve to implement a donation button that was via PayPal.
So it's worth noting PayPal would already be taking a cut of that right off the top.
Yes, that's the only way that would work, though.
And Valve would probably be taking a cut too, because that's the reason they implemented this.
Yeah, but I think Valve would end up taking. I think the most ethical way for Valve to implement this would be to put in a donation button. To give their community the option to donate to other members of their community via PayPal, which PayPal takes a cut of, which is fine. In my opinion, that's fine. That's how it works with everybody else that you donate. You can't send money directly to them. You have to send it to them via PayPal or some other online banking system. But I think if Valve is going to charge any kind of money for the implementation of this donation button, it would have to be on the modder's part. If the modder themselves wants to accept donations in order to continue to post content, then that modder should have to have that modder should be the one that has to pay that.
Now, I agree with my sister, but I have to point out that's the exact same system that monetization is over on YouTube before Google took over. And we see how much of a mess that has become over the last few years.
That's because Google took over.
Now, that is because Google took over. That is because it got big. But that is a valid point. This modding thing is not just for... It's for Skyrim right now.
YouTube doesn't have a donation option.
That's true.
YouTube has advertisements. You allow advertisements on your video. They take it. So this is fundamentally different.
I stand by my statement because the implementation is the same. You choose to monetize, yes or no. You don't have to. You choose to sign up for the system, yes or no?
Yes.
And this just leads back to my original point that we both made, that as soon as money gets involved, things get complicated. There's no denying that. There's absolutely no denying that when money gets involved, things get complicated.
This is true. But if you want to allow money to involve, then there are certain ways that work better than other ways. And I think that you're correct that the way that they've implemented this does not work that well.
Okay, we have reached consensus. Now, we're going to go get some dinner, and then I'm going to do my exploration for the night. Don't worry, it's happening. So that will be a thing soon. I can't remember how she says it.
Who?
Minizan. What's her thing?
Well, yours is...
Mine's...
And mine is... I think hers is...
Yeah, the little one has watched enough of me editing my own videos now that she actually is like...
She's developed her own pachu.
Yeah, it's really cute. Anyways, let's go ahead and cut this off.